Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
It's a Victory Monday. Good morning on the JP Peterson Show. Brought to you by Emerging Investigations and the Jeeves Law Group. And what a weekend of sports. And we got breaking news this morning that we are breaking, by the way. So we'll get to that. The Buccaneers get a much-needed emotional win over the Rams. We're going to break that down 10 ways to Sunday. Florida State's big win over Miami, a huge weekend in college football. The Lightning get a big win, and here comes Connor McDavid tomorrow night, the best player in hockey. Man, we got so much to get to today. We're so excited to have Dan Lucas join us at 10:15. We may have some other guests jumping in as well, so I'll say good morning to you, Nick Geddes. How are you after an incredible weekend? I mean, if I didn't have 2 hours to talk about this morning, I don't know what I'd do. I'd burst. I would burst.
Seriously, good morning. It's like I've been in my own thoughts for the last 2 days. Saturday, It was like every single sport had like a major event going on.
Right.
I mean, we had
a World Series champion round this weekend.
For your soccer fans, we had an MLS Cup, and it was like the greatest MLS game in the history of MLS.
So far down
college,
the list,
I know, but there was just so many things. There's college football. Then yesterday, the NFL. The Bucs get a victory, and all of a sudden, it feels so much better to wake up on a Monday, doesn't it?
It does. It does. And, just talking to some of the players and staff as the Bucs left, and I'm like, man, that flight to Germany is going to be so much better if you really think about it. And they have nobody but the Rams to thank for it, to be quite honest with you.
And prevent defense.
One of the worst I've ever seen. One of the worst I've ever seen. Tony Dungy even broke it down on Sunday Night Football. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I mean, it was like it was literally, I could not believe what I was watching. It was so bad. Like the way the Rams played that whole end of the game. And I'm going to get to that in just a second, but we got to get this out because it is breaking news and we are breaking the news. So we got to get right to it. It's getting a lot of play already on social media. So I spoke to a couple of USF boosters and high-ranking people this morning who would rather remain anonymous in this, and also friends of Jon Gruden. And they confirmed that Jon Gruden is very interested in the USF job. He is very interested in it. And if offered the job, I believe he would take the job. So that's part one of this. Part two of this is, would USF offer him the job? Obviously, there is a lot of baggage there. There's a lot of emotion behind it. I mean, just some of the retorts I'm getting on social media are really, really vitriolic. And with, the current status of, let's just say, the collegiate atmosphere, I just do not see this passing muster with real law. I mean, you go back and read the Jon Gruden emails. I mean, and then they're all going to resurface if this were the case, and they are horrific to read. They were just horrific to read. And everybody on Twitter and the Twitter mob want to call him a racist. You can have your opinions on that. I'm not going to make a judgment on it. Certainly those emails were very racist, no question about it. And you have plenty of evidence to support that. But Jon is, I've had my issues with Jon Gruden. That's well documented. And I try to keep my personal feelings out of it. But there's there are a lot of people that would be very, very excited about Jon Gruden coming to USF. He is a name, obviously, in a program that desperately needs some juice, baby. Needs some juice. I am not advocating for the hire of Jon Gruden. I am simply pointing out the positives and the negatives. My opinion on that, I'm still kind of formulating, to be quite honest with you. I think there are a lot of minuses here. And I've obviously had a lot of personal conversations with a lot of people that have worked with Jon, players and coaches and broadcasters over the years. And I've also seen what he's been able to do on the field to win a Super Bowl for the Buccaneers. You see the energy that he brings to programs. He's never been a college coach, as far as I know. He's not been certainly a college head coach. So it would be all new for him. I think at this point he'd probably be better in college than the pros, because the pros, professional players, have a lot more power and they can wield that power, and they do so, as we've seen. I think he would be better. He could control younger players and college players a lot more. So I think from a winning standpoint, I think he would win. I think he would win. Certainly, I don't know if this would be a long-term thing, but at what cost are you doing that? At what cost? So a lot of hoops to get to jump through, a lot of hurdles to get over for Jon Gruden. But there are a lot of powerful people in this city, who are going to go to bat for Jon Gruden to get that job. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. And it's so new to me this morning that I just, there's a lot there. There's a lot there. And you would be making a deal with a lot of compromises. If you're Michael Kelly, you're no longer the boss. I'll just tell you that right now. You're no longer the boss. Jon Gruden's going to run the program the way Jon Gruden wants to run it. He's not going to take a lot of direction from you. That's the way it goes. And what Jon's gone through has to be incredibly humbling. But then I turn to what I saw at the Arkansas touchdown club, the mea culpa, the awkward apology that he made, and it was awkward. You remember we played it.
I was going to say, like, my initial thought, there are, to me, some things that need to just be left in the past, in my opinion. And you said maybe he has a better shot in college. I kind of look at this as, this is Urban Meyer going to the NFL at this point in his career, in my opinion. That's how I feel about it. And I think there's a high probability that he would fall flat on his face. I don't know if he has the patience for that, number one, at this point in his career. He's never really been a patient guy to begin with. And I think we talked about it. How can a recruit, knowing the whole backstory with Jon Gruden, how can a parent of a recruit, knowing the whole backstory of Jon Gruden, take the guy serious at all? How could you? I mean, there's a lot of his own former players that don't take him serious and don't have any good words to say about him.
And there's a lot that support him too, like Warren Sapp.
I get
Warren
that.
Sapp plays golf with him,
but
still very friendly with him.
For a program that is in shambles right now, I mean, this is as bottom as this program has ever been. To me, that's such a leap of faith. And I don't know. I think you need to play it a little bit more. I know you got to take a big risk. I get that, but I don't know if I would go that big with a Jon Gruden, a guy who's never coached in collegiate football. Yeah.
And again, I'm not stumping for Jon Gruden. I'm just putting out the pros and cons here. But again, in the world of NIL, in a situation where, USF doesn't have a lot of NIL money, Jon Gruden has a lot of rich friends. Yeah. Again, I'm not stumping for him. I'm just saying Jon Gruden has a lot of important, very rich friends. And USF needs a shot in the arm from a PR. Well, this wouldn't be a good PR.
Not a good PR.
It would not
move,
be good.
no.
You would get hammered unmercifully, and from a lot of places, and rightfully so. So it is I think it's an incredible conundrum if you're Michael Kelly, because a lot of the ingredients that you need to win in college football today, and this is a program that desperately needs some juice, he would bring. There's no question about it. But it would come with a price. Well, and you would, it's kind of like, it'd be like making a little deal with the devil here. There's a lot of things that would be positive, but I think there would be a lot of negatives as well.
It will be on the off the field stuff, which honestly is, I mean, that's the biggest red flag of everything, and it should be.
Yeah, I mean, you start reprinting those emails. I mean, talking about big lips. And you can say, those are emails that we send, everybody,
I don't know anybody who sends those things. I don't either. Actually.
But there's, off-color jokes and things like that.
It's beyond that stuff,
stuff should be in the past,
that's what I'm saying. Some people just need to be left in the past, and we've been over this time and time again. But beyond all that stuff, which is bad in itself, you said winning attitude. I got to be honest with you. The guy hasn't won in a long time. Okay? His tenure with the Bucs went south pretty quickly.
Yeah.
The whole thing with the Raiders, to be honest with you, was a joke. Okay? Well, and from a talent evaluation standpoint, he was awful, by the way, with the Bucs and the Raiders, with kids coming out of college. So do I trust him to find the right guys to recruit and everything for a program that literally has to build from the bottom up?
Yep.
I just don't see it. I just don't see the fit.
I would agree with you. I think there's a lot of things that this is like one of those things where it looks shiny and it looks great, but it's fool's gold. It's I don't want to be disrespectful to Jon, because he lives here and there's a lot of great people that support him, And I get that. But for me personally, and you know, my dealings with him are well documented as well. If you're a listener of this show, you know, I try to keep my personal feelings out of it when I'm making these objective opinions. I'm trying to be objective about this. So I try to keep that stuff out of it. And I'm probably erring more towards, you know, because my gut says it's a bad idea. It's a really, really bad idea. Because, you know, college football is a lot about having to deal with be very politically correct. You've got to deal with administration. You got to deal with boosters. You got to deal. And by the way, these are all things that Jeff Scott was wonderful at. Jeff Scott just couldn't win. I mean, and my bottom line on Jeff is I think he's just too nice a guy. He's too nice a guy to be a coach. You have to make really hard decisions and fire people and fire players and make a lot of people unhappy. And I think in the end, Jeff Scott is a people pleaser. And sometimes that works against you as a coach. You got to know when to say no. You got to know when to make hard calls. You got to know when to do certain things. And I don't think Jeff Scott had the stomach to do that. And if I think he ever gets a chance to do it over again, he may learn that. But he did everything right except that part of it, and you got to win. You can't lose to freaking Tulsa.
It's not in the job title to be a nice guy.
Yeah,
it's just not.
It's not.
Okay, it's winning games at 426, one FBS win.
It's unacceptable.
A loss to Temple.
Yeah,
by that much.
And I have said, and I stumped a couple
we
weeks ago.
We defended him this week.
Absolutely, and I said. But I also said you got to go beat Temple.
You have to go beat Temple.
You got to be decisive about it.
By the way, if you lose to Temple, I mean literally, it's got to be like us by one score for me to even be like you can't lose Temple in general, but to be blown out of the stadium like that.
Yeah, and how do you square being just looking at the time? How do you square being on Florida's field and really should have beat the Gators? You're a bad shotgun snap away from beating the Gators.
Yeah,
and you can't beat Temple. I mean, that's coaching. That's ill prepared. That's just completely unacceptable on every single level.
Yeah. And
so at that point, Michael Kelly had no choice, and I get it. You know, Mike Kelly's like looking at his watch. What time did the Bucs play? 4:25. All right, let's release this about 5:07.
I missed it. I got it an hour after.
Everybody watching the Bucs game. Everybody in there. A big game with the Rams. Everybody watching the last two Super Bowl. Jeff Scott got fired. I'm going to fire Jeff Scott. Let me just slide this into the printer here. Yeah. Send it out to the media. Click.
Was everybody
watching the game?
Was anybody in the press box checking the email at the time? I mean,
it got through the press box pretty quick. It was like everybody's like, "Oh, Jeff Scott's fired." Everybody's all right. Back to the game. But yeah, so we're going to get into further in it. But we got Dan Lucas coming up, so I want to get a little bit more on the Bucs as well before you hit Dan. Look. It's a great emotional win for the Buccaneers. There's no question about it. But if you're sitting there thinking that this is the key to unlock, you know, the greatness that is this Buccaneers team, I didn't see that. I didn't see that at all. I saw a Rams team that was more incompetent than the Bucs team. The play calling was still ridiculous. It's almost like people were saying on Twitter, "Is Byron trolling us? Is Byron trolling the fan base?" And I said, first of all, he's not getting fired because he's doing what Todd Bowles told him to do, which was run the football. He told him to run football, and that's what he's doing. And Bowles even told Tracy Wolfson at halftime, "I like where we're at. We're wearing them down with the run." That's what she said. So everybody wants to get on Byron Leftwich, and I don't have a problem with that. But this is Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles wants to run the football, even when you're running at a clip of 2.6 yards per carry, which would be the worst average in the history of the NFL and is already worse than your 3.0, which is the worst in the league. I mean, you got to be effing kidding me. You can't, and I guess he threw the ball 58 times.
They ran the ball on 10 of their first 11 first downs.
I know.
Up the gut.
I know.
Up the gut to Fournette.
And you can't. And then on 3rd and 2, you go down the field. By the way, Brady was much better. Brady, I thought, was so much better in this game. Not perfect, but so much better, so much more decisive. His receivers had, by my count, 8 drops.
A lot of drops.
8 drops.
A lot of drops.
He threw the ball 58 times, 8 critical drops. The Bucs should have scored at least 24 to 31 points. The drops were critical drops.
Bad penalties.
Bad penalties. Of course, the Hockey League crew, second most penalizing crew, and they just every tic-tac call they're going to call. And then some obvious calls that they miss. Hockey League's crew is the worst. But for the Buccaneers, it's a much-needed win. There's some great stories we're going to talk about, especially Kate Otten. But it is still so much more of the same. I saw glimpses. Akeem Hicks is back. That's great. The defense, I thought, played tremendously well. But let's not be fooled. This Rams offense is terrible. Their offensive line is worse than the Buccaneers offensive line. But 3rd and 2 on that drive, 3rd and 2, 3rd and a long 2, almost 3, on the 3-yard line. You bring in 2 tight ends, both of whom are not very good blockers in Keith and Otten. Keith tries hard, but come on, he's undersized. You've got an undersized interior of your offensive line who can't get any push whatsoever. And you're going to line up 2 tight ends in tight formation, have 9 defensive men within 4 yards of the line, 9 defensive players within 4 yards of the line of scrimmage. You're going to have 7 guys block 9 in a compressed area and send Leonard Fournette up the middle. And that's your call. I mean, you got to be effing kidding me.
That's your best call.
That's your best call. Yeah. You got to be kidding me. I mean, that's so bad that that's a fireable offense right there.
Yeah. It was evident in this game, maybe more so than all the other ones, honestly, even though in a victory. Coaching malpractice.
Yeah.
Coaching malpractice from Byron Leftwich, from Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles was awful in this game.
At least I saw him get mad.
Yeah, I know. I saw some emotion eventually, but my goodness, was he awful in this game? And we'll get into all of that.
You got to challenge. There's so many things you could have challenged. I mean, going forward on 4th down, even though they failed on one 4th down, he pulled his offense off the field. What are you doing?
Todd Bowles has no balls. Yeah. Okay, let's just be honest here.
Yeah, if you're looking for a show, by the way, that's gonna heap roses and bouquets on the Buccaneers after this win, turn it off, because I mean, we're going to point out the positives where there were positives, and there were some positives, but there were, I mean, for the most part, this was a lot of the same old.
All I'll ask you was, were you entertained until the last minute of the game?
We were laughing in the press box. I mean, it was one of the funnier press boxes I've ever had, because we were literally laughing at the calls. I mean, all of us, like across the media. We were just like, you got to be kidding me. And this is one of the worst football games I've ever seen in my life. And last Monday was the deadline for Buccaneers season ticket holder. At least one season ticket holder told me this, to re-up for next year. Yeah. And so you just paid $3 or $4 or whatever, maybe more. And you went out and watched this game.
They were getting booed.
Yeah, there were a lot of
deservedly
boos.
This is the first time I've really heard the boos.
And by the way, when Kate Otten scored, half the crowd had left. Yeah, that was, even though it was very loud. Yeah. About half the crowd left.
That's normal for Bucs fans, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you knew they were going to get the ball back.
I don't care how bad the game is. It was so close. You paid all that money to be there. You got to stay.
You got to stay for the end of the game. My God,
that's a whole nother conversation in itself.
Yeah. But so much to talk about today. We'll get to Dan Lucas. So let's take a break, and we'll come back. And Dan Lucas from News Channel 8 will join us. And obviously, Dan covers all things Tampa Bay sports. So we'll talk to him about the USF thing, the Bucs as well. Obviously, big wins for some local teams in college football. So we'll hit all that when we come back. Stay with us. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group. I've known Scott Jeeves for quite some time, and he's just like us, a huge college football fan. He loves his Gators. In fact, he sponsors our Gator Report every Thursday at 11 o'clock with Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. But he's not just another PI attorney. He is a ferocious advocate for his clients. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in Tampa Bay for over 30 years. He is an AV preeminent rated civil trial lawyer and certified circuit court mediator. Folks, these designations are not just given out. They're given only to the best trial attorneys. But more than anything, Scott takes these cases personally. I've heard it from his clients. He's a fighter you want on your side. Insurance companies hate it when they see you're represented by Jeeves. He's just different. 727-894-2929 or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. That's JEEVES lawgroup.com and tell him JP sent you.
Guys, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Are you experiencing low sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, and you just don't feel like you have the vitality you once had? You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. Do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability. Not a one-size-fits-all approach like many claim.
Advantage loan program. Get this: no money down, no mortgage insurance, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance, and loan amounts up to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. It must be a single-family home, 1 unit, primary residence, and have a minimum 640 credit score. The program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Now, even if you don't qualify for that program, Scott will shop your loan around, get you the best rates, and won't charge you the huge upfront fees. And if you've had issues with your bank calling you back, Scott will return calls immediately or at least the same day. 813-294-7595 or email him, scott@amstampa.com. Scott Fitzgerald, MLS 386722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Emerging Investigations, Emerging INV. If you have any issues with your spouse or criminal matter, insurance fraud, anything that you would need a public investigator for, they are the choice. They are the number one agency here in Tampa Bay, a family-owned company that can do a lot of things that other agencies cannot. Because they run their own shop, very successful. A lot of lawyers and insurance companies use them. So if you need a private investigator for any reason, they are the folks to get it done. If you need something researched, the missing person, they have great experience and will always get you some great information. And these are times when you need the best information, trusted information. So you're going to go snooping around on social media or try to put some tracker on somebody's car. Don't do it. Let the professionals handle it so you can get trusted information for life's biggest decisions. That's Emerging Investigations, emerginginv.com. All right, let's bring in our good friend Dan Lucas from News Channel 8, WFLA Dan on Twitter. What's up, my friend? How are you?
JP, my man, I'm processing the wacky weekend of football.
Yeah.
It was entertaining. It was incredible. It was depressing. There was just so many emotions in a couple of days. And I go back all the way to Friday night when Tampa Catholic blocks a punt, scoops and scores, and beats Jesuit for the first time in 22 years. And that just kicked off the weekend.
Wow.
That was a terrific accomplishment for those guys.
I was actually supposed to go to that game as a guest of the Jesuit head coaches, and something came up. I couldn't make it, so I'm kind of glad I missed that. They would have blamed it on me. So, yeah.
Well, in the thick of things, it's what you love about rivalries in high school football, but it doesn't really hurt Jesuit. I mean, they're number one in their region. They're going to start the playoffs Friday. They just have to recover from that loss and then just try and get rolling again. And Tampa Catholic, obviously different classification, and let's hope that this can propel them as well to something in the postseason, and we just keep getting teams moving forward in the playoffs. That's what you want.
Yep.
From the Bay Area teams. There's so many great kids here, and I love it when a team gets to the state final. You want to see them get over the hump and raise the trophy. It's good for the area when that happens.
I watched my son actually play in a state championship game over in Orlando for Cambridge Christian. Is one of the greatest pleasures of my life, man. It was awesome, and it just means so much to the players, the coaches, the families, the schools. It really is the essence of local sports. So I'm glad you brought that to the table because we probably wouldn't have mentioned it. Can always count on you, Luke. I did not see you in the press box yesterday. I think you were probably holding down the fort, or did I just miss you? Because that game yesterday,
I was at the station. The 4:00 games are they make the night rather difficult, shall we say? But it's still, it was a good show last night because there was a lot of emotions. We haven't had emotions from a Bucs team in over a month.
Great point.
And so they have issues that have gotten them into this hole they're in are still there. But isn't it amazing when the bottom line takes precedent over that, and you can just wake up Monday morning and you just feel differently? And I would have to presume that's how the Bucs feel today. And I thought about last night back in the day when I was covering the Steelers every year. They had a team. It was in the mid '90s. It was '95. They were 3-4, just floundering. reeled off all these wins. It might have been 6 or 7 in a row. And the games were ugly. Ugly football games. And Bill Cowher would come in after the games and he'd just say, "A win is a win." that was his line. A win is a win. And they wound up going to the Super Bowl.
That's right.
And they lost to Emmitt Smith and the Cowboys and out in Arizona. But this is how football, the NFL works. So, it's just the bottom line that matters. You claw and kick your way and bite and punch and pull hair and you try to get one more point to the opponent. And it ain't pretty. A win is a win, to quote the great Bill Cowher.
Well, I'm probably one of those people. I'm glad the Bucs woke up with a smile on their face. They probably won't be there after film session today because there was a lot of ugly in that game. There was a lot of ugly in that game, and I just think that the Rams out uglied the Bucs in the end with some horrible game management in the last 2 minutes for the Rams. And I don't want to take anything away from the Bucs because I think defensively they worked their ass off. They just continue to make so many bad mistakes offensively. And I thought Brady was way better yesterday. I thought he was decisive when they actually let him, go up tempo. And this has been the case all year long. When Byron Leftwich is kind of kept out of the equation and they go up tempo and Brady's really running the show, they move the ball. They go right down the field almost every single time. And they did it yesterday. And then when they slow it back down, it just seems to absolutely come to a crawl. But I thought Brady was more decisive. His receivers were awful yesterday in general. I counted 7 drops yesterday. 7, you could go up to 10. And certainly contested catches that you would like to have. They were brutal, but I thought Brady was better. So I did see a little glimmer of hope. What did you see?
I saw the same thing. I mean, the visible things that we can all recognize are the drops, of course.
Yeah.
And then, I felt that the one thing the Bucs had in their favor as opposed to the previous few weeks is they weren't chasing the game and they could still operate within what they were trying to do. Even like you say that, up tempo gave them more success. They weren't locked in on pass only, which is the strategy of every NFL defense. You want to get the opponent one dimensional. So that's the one thing that allowed them to still operate as normal, but they still had, in that first half, it was 3 straight possessions, 3 straight 3-and-outs.
Yeah.
And so you're getting into what happened in the Baltimore game, which was in the second half.
Yep.
Defense is coming right back on the field. Defense is getting tired. And I thought the defense really helped keep the Bucs alive with those stops, forcing field goals. I know Levante David had that one pass breakup on a 3rd down. There was a sack by Raheem Nunez-Roches that moved the Rams back, forced a field goal attempt. Just those plays almost wipe out the plays we're all thinking of, the Cooper Kupp wide open plays, the 2 of them.
Yep.
They gave the Bucs a chance, and that's what it comes down to in these 1-score games, which the NFL seems to be having every week, is just give yourself a chance in the end to win it. Yeah. And they put the ball in the hands of Tom Brady to win it. I'm amazed they got the ball back time.
Well,
and really butchered that possession.
Cooper Kupp stays in bounds. He gets the first down and the game's over. He was so intent on staying in bounds and taking a slide that he didn't realize he had the first down on the jet sweep, which everybody should have known was coming. I mean, that was horrific. And he ends up 3 yards short because he gave himself up like that. And then, they run the ball again on 3rd down, unimaginative run. And then the defense that the Rams played, they gave Scotty Miller 2 easy outs on the boundary. They were playing 12.5 yards off the ball. Tony Dungy even broke it down on Sunday Night Football. They just quit playing defense. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. They had no timeouts and they weren't even covering the boundary.
Yeah. Well, and the Bucs, I mean, how beautiful was the last drive? Just sideline, sideline, sideline. And then you took one shot in the middle, and now you have the luxury
get the PI
of a spike. Yeah, and so it's just, I mean, as bad, it was pretty for the Bucs in the end as it was ugly for the Rams. And they're waking up with some issues today, which is what the Bucs have woken up with for 3 weeks. So that's why I say, a win's a win. You can forgive, play when you win the game. Now, like you say, they got to get in the lab. They've got to get it fixed. They're playing a hot team this week. And of course the whole traveling issue, and they're going late in the week, and all of those typical adverse things that hit football teams. But they got to get it together. They could go on a roll. They could get it together. This guy, it was nice to see guys coming back healthy. Yeah. And Akeem Hicks, I said all week long, when Akeem Hicks gets back in this lineup, things are going to change. Yeah. And week 1 and week 2, up until he got hurt, this was a different football team defensively.
Absolutely.
And then yesterday I saw signs of them getting back to that. Obviously the run stuffing, but then the middle, the defensive lineman, the interior getting in on the pass rush was so impressive. We're all worried about Shaq Barrett not being out there, and can these guys on the edge get there? Vita Vea got there
twice.
So yeah, I thought it was tremendous. And so there's a lot of good and some ugly for sure. But there's some teams out there that are in big trouble today, and the Rams are one of them. And the Bucs, luckily the Bucs are in the division they're in, my friend, because just get out of this division.
Yeah,
that's how you got to do it.
This was an elimination game, and the Rams got eliminated for good reason. They're terrible. Their interior offensive line, they've got 3 offensive linemen on IR, and they were going to be a bad offensive line to begin with. So they're terrible up front. Matthew Stafford's arm is about 50% of what it used to be. They have no running a game whatsoever, and they're missing OBJ, and Cooper Kupp still burned you. But I did see some things on defense, and I think you're absolutely right. The kick, Akeem Hicks makes a huge difference. And I thought Devin White, and I spoke to him after the game, and he seemed he had a great attitude. We're going to play this sound a little bit later on, where he basically was like, yeah, man, I had to kind of take stock in myself and understand how blessed I am to play this game. And I need to go out there and start having fun and, pay attention to what's going on and really be grateful for what's going on. And he seemed to have a different attitude, and he was flying around. And I think that makes a huge difference on this defense as well. What do you think?
Yeah, the first thing I saw with Devin White, this goes back to the middle of the week. He was asked if he would like to comment in the locker room, and he said, no, I'm good. And he knows he's the center of attention in a negative way. The good sign I saw was the next day he, gathered himself. I don't know if he was spoken to or just thought about it, but he, then he stood there, and I will always credit a guy and tip my cap to a guy that will stand there and take it when times are not good. Yeah. Because I think I don't know. I'm not some psychologist here, but I think he kind of liberated him a little bit to speak his mind and own it.
Yeah.
That he could come on the field, because a lot of the fans, I read reaction on social media. Like the interview on, I believe it was Thursday's locker room.
Yeah, I was there for that.
Yeah, okay. So, you post the sound bites, what he says. I want to read the fan reaction, because, you got knuckleheads out there, and then you got, but the reaction was mostly, you know what? This is just all we wanted to hear. This is all we wanted to hear from the guy. I thought his Thursday,
and I didn't mean to jump in here, Dan, but I thought his Thursday apology to us was bad. It was like, if football.
Kind of forced?
It was forced, number one. We had to drag him up there. Literally had to drag him up there because he didn't want to do it. He sat at his locker for about 20 minutes while one of the PR folks tried to get him to go over. Then Kevin O'Donnell went over to get him, and he was going to do something with Kevin. And then, the media mob started going over towards his locker. And then they were like, no, just come over to the backdrop where everybody's waiting for you. So we dragged him over there. And then he's just like, listen, if you know football, my teammates know what's up. And, I respect Warren, but, I might give my effort out there. And it was a half-ass apology. And then later on, and then when the fans, lost their crap on his non-apology apology, then he went back on Twitter and was like, all right, listen, my bad. I got to be better, and said on Twitter what he should have said in front of all the TV cameras. And I know this gets into, the media just wants a pound of flesh, but it's not about that. It's about leadership taking accountability. And that has been one of the biggest issues of mine for this entire organization this year. From Todd Bowles to Byron Leftwich to Tom Brady, who wouldn't even take the clock, him watching the clock run out on a 2-point conversion to win the game. He wouldn't even own that as a quarterback. I mean, it's been nothing but not accountable in the public. And you hope that it's being done behind doors, but the play of this team looks like it's not being done behind closed doors. There's nobody accountable. Even yesterday, I counted 6 or 7 plays on offense where guys didn't know where the hell to line up. And on defense, there were busts as well. And these are just things that shouldn't be happening to an experienced football team, and they keep happening. So I still think it's an issue. You get a win, but let's hope that they're more accountable on every level.
Yeah, that goes without saying, and I do think that this can reveal. Maybe if they watch the film knowing the results of the game yesterday, maybe the attitude and the outlook's different. When you create or point out errors, I guess, in individual efforts. One thing I didn't see, and remember, I'm watching the ball just like a lot of people when you watch the game, but I didn't really see any loafing.
No.
Guys trailing, even on the long Cooper Kupp touchdown, guys were, who got to him at the pylon there? Somebody got to him, but I'm seeing effort, and this is the time of year where teams. Yeah, this is the time of year when teams are going in the wrong direction. You start to see bad effort. Yeah.
No, that's a great point. We saw, and Devin was flying around out there, and we saw the energy from this team. I would agree with that wholeheartedly. All right. Let's transfer because I want to get your thoughts on this. I got 2 sources this morning that told me Jon Gruden is very interested in the USF job, and if offered the job, he would most likely take the job. And there might be, Jim Leavitt and a Robert Weiner offensive defense combination. I mean, let's bring the whole Tampa crew back together, right? It's intriguing. There's no doubt about it, but there's obviously a lot of baggage that's going to come along with that. Where would you come down on a Gruden at USF deal?
Well, it's certainly not his Tennessee dream, right?
Yeah.
But
good point.
I for in the coaching circles, for someone who's been dragged through the mud like that publicly, this is where a coach would resurface, and it happens to be here in Tampa.
Right.
I mean, it could be a program anywhere in the country that is struggling, and he would go live in the spotlight and coach and maybe have success. But I just don't know what the next coach can do with what he's inheriting. I really don't. I'm still trying to wrap my head around why this program was 4-26 under Jeff Scott. With the transfer portal, I felt like the guy did everything right.
I did too.
And I can't get a beat on it. The guy came in, he weeded out problems, he got the culture turned around, he got everybody on board with improving facilities, aware of what it takes to recruit, and the image and the optics that can affect your program 10 years down the road by what you're doing today with just a simple fresh carpet in the building. And got the indoor facility built. He's been really behind the all the talk of the new stadium on campus. I just everything is vibing, but they just aren't winning games.
I know.
And I think the downfall, go all in on the transfer. You got Bohannon, which forces out Timmy McClain. I feel awful for McClain. I'm sure he's feeling for his former teammates. Maybe he feels like he could have done something when Bohannon went down. But that was it. And I think that was the end. And they went a couple of weeks. It just got worse and worse. The Temple game was the final straw because Temple's arguably one of the worst programs in the country.
Awful.
And now where does that put USF in that relative? So
the worst.
UCF, the teams going to the Big 12 have left this program behind, and it's no longer, we just got to catch up a little bit. There's going to be programs in the next year, 2, 5 years that will be left behind possibly forever.
Yeah.
And USF is just clawing and holding onto this rope, trying to get in there.
Which
and maybe a splash like Gruden would help, but you got to win.
Yeah. And that's the thing, Dan, you just said it so well. I mean, you are on teetering on the canyon edge of complete irrelevancy at USF right now. You're talking about building an on-campus stadium. And it's weird because you have everything in place here to move to the AC. If FSU and Clemson move on, as we think they're going to move on to the SEC, and there's an opening in the ACC, USF could fill that. But you can't. Nobody wants a team that is the worst in football. And you got to fill a new stadium. You're going to build an on-campus stadium. You got to fill. You need juice. You need some kind of hire here that's gonna splash. And Gruden fulfills all those, flash, juice, all those cliches. He would recruit well. I think he would recruit tremendously well. He has a lot of rich friends in the world of NIL. A lot of rich friends.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of money himself, so he doesn't even need. How about a head coach paying his own players through NIL? Stop. So when he gets his $100 million settlement from the NFL, I'll just go out and buy some players. I'm the Jon Gruden collective. It sounds stupid, but it would actually be legal, right? So,
you should take the lawsuit and just put it in a trust that could be donated to the NIL.
Why not?
He should do.
You could do it. Hey, I'm going to sign up for the USF collective here, and here's $100 million. I don't know, whatever. There's so many options here, but the bottom line is you got to do something. You got to get some juice, but there's a lot of negatives that will come along with hiring Jon Gruden. There's a ton of that. Like I said earlier, Michael Kelly, you're no longer the boss in your own building. You could just take a seat because the guy down the hall.
Rich McKay. That's Rich McKay. How about that? Oh man.
Yeah.
The one thing that intrigues me about Gruden at the college level, and like you said, he brings a fire. Those kids will be pumped up. I'll guarantee you they'll start winning some games. There's a few more games at minimum.
Yeah.
The one thing though is he's never been as much of his guru as he wants to be perceived as with quarterbacks, and he's got the quarterback school and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He's never been known as a developer of quarterbacks.
Never.
What you're doing.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see him grab a kid. Let's not even take an 18-year, 19-year-old kid. Let's take a transfer like a Bohannon. Like, how do you develop that guy? And in this day at offenses, these RPOs and we know Gruden hates the shotgun.
Right.
This is pretty much the entire college game now. It's a different beast.
Yeah, it's a great.
Than what we've seen Gruden coach.
Yeah, and him with young players. He didn't have the patience for Chris Sims in his fourth year, or it was Rich Gannon or Brad Johnson that had success with him. He and Garcia. It's older guys, grizzled veterans that could put up with the amount of as Brad once said, a rolling blade of knives every day coming at you. It's just, and that's what it is.
I wish.
Yeah. You see some 18-year-old with, in a film session with Gruden after throwing 3 picks, a kid be like, get me out of here.
Fans out there who went to training camp back when they were at Disney, you had the proximity to the 2 practice fields. You could basically wrap around the field.
Yeah.
And you remember. The best place to be was wherever Gruden was. You're going to get an earful. Stuff you can't air on television.
No.
Tremendous.
Yeah.
See that at USF.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of positives on one side. There's a lot of negatives, but we'll see. We got to see what the pool is out there of guys. What candidates there are. I've heard you read some of the stuff. Nick, Scott Frost's name, I think.
I think Scott Frost, maybe I'm biased because I'm a UCF guy, but you saw what he built there. He took over a 0-win team and, a little fake national championship, whatever you want to call it. He obviously could build a program from the bottom.
Damn right.
Tom Allen, if he gets let go from Indiana, has all the roots in the world here at USF, was a good option.
Another great choice.
So, I think there is a pool there.
Yeah.
Allen, the former Armwood High offensive coordinator, I always like to
that's
that. All his kids were born in Tampa. That guy's got Tampa roots. And if you look at Indiana's roster, there's a Bay Area contingent on there. It's actually disappointing that they're not doing better in the Big Ten because they got some talented kids on the team, and they lost Michael Penix to the transfer out to Washington. That was a shame, but some of the names are recycled. The 2 things I look at, one is who's going to fit this job. Now, you just went through a young, hot coordinator from a national championship culture. It didn't work.
Yep.
Now, where do you go? Where do you go? So that almost rules out a young hot assistant. And then you have to look at what is any big name. They're going to come in here and want to know what they have to work with right away. I don't know. This is not a knock on everybody, but I don't know if the talent is where some of these big names want it to immediately turn around in the American, which is what's needed, by the way.
Yeah.
Immediate success. And then I also look at the other openings, one by one. But the Auburn job is the big carrot, and that's going to take the amount of names out of the running for USF, and USF's just going to be down the tier.
Yeah, you got Auburn, you got Georgia Tech open, Nebraska's open.
Nebraska, yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of any other major programs.
Wisconsin, unless they hire their D coordinator.
Yeah, yeah. So
Arizona State too, right?
Yep.
I think theirs is interim still.
Yeah. So there's some big jobs out there, some good jobs, Power 5 jobs that'll take up the best candidates. But if I think Tom Allen and Scott Frost would both be better picks than Jon Gruden. Because they've proven that they can win at the collegiate level with less than talent. They've proven to be program builders, and I think that's what this job entails. And, John, I don't know if John is up for the heavy lifting that needs to be done to build a program, to build it back. I mean, it's like Jim Leavitt did. And, Leavitt's name has surfaced as well, Dan. Jim Leavitt put out a post. Nick was showing me this is on his Twitter about, Tampa's the most beautiful place in the world to live, about 15 minutes after Jeff Scott got fired. So, and I think, I know Leavitt didn't want to come back to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, the USF Hall of Fame. He had to be dragged kicking and screaming to do that. And he had a lot of ill will towards USF, the way that whole thing went down. He won his lawsuit, all that stuff. He feels wronged, but if given the opportunity to take over the program that he built and took it to number 2 in the nation, I think he would jump at it. But again, would USF pull the trigger on that? And is he the best guy?
Yeah. It's tough because, I hate to say, okay, this incident was lesser than the other incident. If you compared Leavitt's situation to Jon Gruden's situation, the public's going to feel one way or the other. They may feel entirely different. They might think that, Jon Gruden should never coach again, whereas they feel, maybe time has healed wounds for Jim Leavitt, or maybe it's vice versa. I think it's very fair if you look at the Gruden situation and understand, the things that were said were absolutely, out of line.
Yeah. Horrific.
But this was picked up in an investigation, something completely unrelated to Gruden, and leaked out to ruin him and smear him, and that's why this lawsuit is taking place. So. Does he deserve any benefit of the doubt there? Well, I don't know. There's people that are like, let him coach. And there's people like, no, he can never be in the game again.
Mm-hmm.
It's a debate that's just like the rest of society today.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's polarizing is the word I'm trying to search for, because here's this great coach out of work, and it would seem like a shoe-in for a job, but not that simple. Not that simple, because things go. Remember when was it Greg Schiano in Tennessee coming off the Sandusky?
Mm-hmm.
Greg Schiano was basically had agreed in principle to the Tennessee job. Is that correct? Do I have the story correct?
You have it correct.
And then the fan base went berserk. So you got to be careful.
What I'm judging from the response on Twitter to my report today that Gruden is very interested in the job and would take it if offered, I would say it's probably 75 to 80% very negative. And that's just the Twitter response. So, take that for what it's worth. But again, they're not making the decision, so we shall see. All right, Dano, tell us what's coming up.
This, JP.
Go ahead.
Resurface somewhere. Somewhere. He's going to coach in. I'll tell you that, Jon Gruden.
Yep. Somebody's going to give an opportunity. I don't know where, but somebody's going to give an opportunity. And it might be USF. We shall see. A lot of powerful people are in his camp. There's no question about that. They got money, and money talks. Money talks when it comes to these things. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Dano, what do you got coming up on News Channel 8 this week? Coverage of the Bucs going to Germany?
Today we're going to sit down with Todd Bowles, our weekly.
Yep.
And then, unfortunately, we're not going to Germany. I'm so disappointed. And, the team's going over Thursday night, and then we'll get there and practice Friday. So unfortunately, we won't be there. I've been lobbying to do live shots from the beer garden at Epcot.
Shocking development. Oh, from Epcot.
Yeah, like they wave a little flag, German flag, hold the microphone, and talk about and I could get what are the later hosen. I could put that on and just do predictions and stuff. Maybe give you like a German word of the day.
That's about. Well, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. All right, maybe keep you employed. All right, man. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it, Dano. We'll chat with you down the line. Thanks, buddy.
All right, guys. Be good.
That's inside TB stuff right there. I'm trying to. Anyway, it would be nice if like back in the old days that the local station spent the money to cover our local teams, but
that seems crazy to me. I mean, I don't know the whole makings of it, or the inner workings of it, but you got a team going to Germany. It's one of those like once in like a lifetime type deals.
And you're in the middle of campaign season where you're literally selling ads at about $2,000 for a 30. And I don't know if that's the exact number, but I know this. It's been in these local TV stations. They're just raking in the dollars, raking it in. And, to say we don't want to spend, $10,000, $15,000 as the team, the station that covers the Bucs. And it's not just Channel 8, it's everybody. I don't know if anybody's going. I don't think anybody's going.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's not like we did it back in the day, man. That's not like we did it back in the day. That's for sure. But yeah, I think the bean counters would say, well, we can get video of the Bucs from the Bucs and they'll send it over. And that's true. We'll get, but you don't get the same coverage. And if something controversial goes down over there, the Bucs aren't, hey, we got video of this fight between Tom Brady and Byron Leftwich, but we're not going to send it. Of course they're not going to send it. Of course they're not going to send it. Right. But, just as an example. And I get that. That's their team. Why would they do that? Of course, you're protecting the information. I get it. But that's why they're supposed to be independent media. They're supposed to be following along and doing their job. That's the way this is supposed to work. But really doesn't work that way anymore. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back on the other side. We got to get into the sound. The Cade Otton story is just tremendous. And I've got some inside scoop on that. I talked to Cade personally last week in the locker room, just one-on-one, and it was very much foreshadowing what happened on Sunday. It's crazy. So I'll tell you that story when we come back. Was your car totaled in an accident? Did your insurance company use Kelley Blue Book or NADA to appraise the value of your car? Chances are they didn't, and you got shorted maybe thousands of dollars. Call the Jeeves Law Group for a free case evaluation because your insurance company may still owe you money. 727-894-2929. It's a free call, so why not find out if you have a case? Insurance companies have been running this scam for a while, and most folks don't know if they've been shorted. Trust me. Scott Jeeves is a different kind of attorney, the kind insurance companies hate to go up against. He could recover thousands of dollars, so why not call? 727-894-2929 or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. That's JEEVES lawgroup.com and tell them JP sent you.
JP here for Emerging Investigations, Tampa Bay's premier investigation agency. Do you suspect your spouse is cheating or involved in a divorce, that your spouse is hiding money, an ex-employee or current employee with suspicious behavior? Is there a criminal matter you need help with? If you need information you can count on, using the professionals at Emerging Investigations is a slam dunk. Emerging Investigations is a licensed and insured private investigation agency, family-owned. Emerging is your ideal resource to secure evidence and validation, allowing you to make informed decisions in life's biggest matters. Led by industry executive Brian D'Antonio, Emerging possesses the experience and resources to get needed results. Emerging Investigations maintains an excellent reputation as a premier investigation agency. They are known for results. You're not just hiring a PI, but an organized, dedicated team using state-of-the-art technology. Their proven investigative methods produce crucial information used in criminal cases, insurance fraud, and personal injury claims. Many local attorneys, industry agencies, and your concerned neighbors all count on Emerging Investigations. Just go to their website, emerginginv.com, or call 813-291-FACT. That's 813-291-FACT 3228. Get results you can trust in life's biggest matters. Emerging Investigations. Now is the time to make sure your home insurance is in order. In the last year, many of us have made improvements to our homes. So call the folks at Italiano and discuss these upgrades to make sure you have enough coverage. According to a recent report, almost 64% of homeowners don't have enough insurance on their home, which is their most valuable asset. Also, a great time to make sure you have flood insurance. Even if your mortgage company does not require flood insurance, your home could still be at flood risk. Another big item as we enter hurricane season is making sure your pool enclosure is added to your policy and there will be no issue at claim time. That happens a lot. So call your friendly agent at Italiano Insurance to review your policies today. 813-877-7799 or ItalianoInsurance.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Emerging Investigations, emerginginv.com, and the Jeeves Law Group. If you have any issues with your auto insurance company or home insurance company, if you have a claim and you don't have an attorney, call the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. In most instances, the legal fees will be paid by the insurance company if you win or if they settle. So the insurance companies will, if you're worried about having to pay legal fees in this particular instance, there are scenarios where you don't have to do that. So give them a call and find out. Talk to Jeeves Law Group. If you've not got a lot of money back on your totaled card and you feel like you deserved more, that's probably the case. Insurance companies do that a lot. If you're in a home insurance claim with the hurricane situation and you're having troubles, get Jeeves Law Group on the horn, and they will help you. Have an advocate that knows the law and will pressure these insurance companies, and you'll get more money. There's no question about it. Nobody in the insurance industry likes to see the Jeeves Law Group coming. They are different. He is different, and he will get after them for you. So why do this yourself and put up with all the BS when they can do it for you? And it won't cost you anything in some situations. So call the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. All right, the Cade Otton story is just an amazing one. And last week, let's back up to earlier this year. If you don't know, his mother passed away right during when the hurricane came through. He missed the game. He had went out for the funeral, and he was very close to his mom. He spoke about his mom yesterday and his mom watching him get that game-winning touchdown yesterday from upstairs. And he's a very faithful young man, and we totally respect that. And it's part of his motivation, no question about it. You could just see it in his eyes. So it's a great story. And Cade, he comes from an incredible family. Joey Knight from the Times wrote a great story about this, and they were talking about it on the Rick Stroud podcast. I was listening this morning, and just tremendous story. His grandfather is a well-respected coach out in Washington State, high school coach. His father was his coach. His mother was a PE coach and very well respected and loved. And it's a very, very traumatic time for him. And for this moment to happen just makes it so, so sweet, and a lot of great karma coming to bear. And I spoke with Cade, and I did something this week that I haven't been able to do in probably 3 years. And that's, we were interviewing Cade, and I put my phone down. And I just had a conversation with him. And this is when you get the best stuff. And I was asking him, I was like, do you talk to me about the details with Tom? Like, he's just crazy about your hand position, the way you run routes, what exactly. I said, give me an example of something that Tom has kind of harped on and talked to you about that is just different from what you've ever learned. And he said, he's really big on coming back to the football, like aggressively coming back to the football. And also, on certain plays where you have to, have nuance to the play. And this play that he scored on yesterday was one of those plays. And by the way, Tom Brady called this play himself. Byron came out and said, "What do you like?" And Brady said, "I like this play," to Cade Otton. And there's so many weird things going on in this play because it's 13 seconds left and they don't have a timeout. They're at the 1 yard line. Now, I heard people in the press box arguing, well, you could run the football here and then spike it. I'm like, no way. There's no way you're going to get untangled. The play itself is going to take 4 or 5 seconds. And now you're down to 7 seconds, 6 seconds. And now you got to get everybody. It's too much of a risk. So, but being that as football players are, and this goes directly against what Byron Leftwich said this week, if you can't run the football, play action doesn't work. That's a lie. That's a lie. And you can see it on this play. So what Cade has to do, it's very nuanced. And we'll play his soundbite in a second talking about it because I asked him about it. Details. He's blocking down like it's a run play. And as soon as he makes that fake and blocks down, right, and he commits his hips, that's the key for whoever's covering him to play run, okay? And so what Cade does is he commits down and turns his hips to the inside, his right hip to the inside. And in order to get out on a pass pattern, he's going to have to spin out. So that's what he does. He spins out, and he creates leverage on the outside. And I believe run just takes 2 steps, and that's all it takes. With Cade's body as big as he is on a smaller corner, it was a great matchup. It was a great play call. It's the type of ingenuity that we need in the red zone that we haven't seen all year long, something different besides 4 guys running out and being covered like you saw in the previous set when they were down there and they missed it on 4th down. This was some trickery, a little bit of innovation, something creative, somewhere where they don't usually go. It's not Godwin. It's not Evans. It's something new. It's what we've been begging for. And Brady calls the play, and Otten sells it inside, goes to the outside. Great throw, great execution, touchdown. You win the game. It's all we've been asking for.
And I was going to say, it's like I don't want to get into a shouting match of who deserves credit or whatever, but it's just a fact. And Brady put it out there. That was a play that I wanted. And I told Byron, hey, I think we should do this. Byron said, absolutely, go for it. And again, we know
which was the great thing to say.
Which is the great thing to say. So maybe Byron had that play in his playbook. Okay. For whatever reason, we haven't seen it all along. And I don't know what Byron wanted. In my opinion,
isn't it?
It's just a great thing about sports. We harp on the negative. It's the great thing about sports.
And this was one of those karma times. So let's listen into Cade Otten, his interview after the game. Really good stuff.
Yeah, and I've
what a great young
singled
guy.
out your question here, by the way.
Okay, cool.
That play where are you like blocking down and selling it and then move it out? We talked about the details stuff earlier this week. Tell me about that part.
Yeah, that's another thing. We all got to sell run really hard on that play, and the receivers did a great job doing that as well. And whoever had me in coverage got stuck in the box, and I was able to get out in the flat and get the touchdown. And goes to the offensive line too, and the running back and Tom, and it's a team effort every single play.
He gives credit to everybody, but that was him selling it, and that was him doing a hell of a job. And Brady found him, and it's comical that the reason that play works is because the Rams are dumb enough, to think the Bucs are dumb enough to run in this situation. It's Dumb and Dumber. I hate to be rude, but that's exactly what played out there.
Earlier in the game,
the Rams took the bait on something that should never have happened.
And it's weird because earlier in the game, I think it might have been on that first drive, and Romo, by the way, was picking apart the Bucs the entire broadcast.
I have only gotten through the first half of the broadcast, and he said some really dumb things, though.
He did. He couldn't figure out who was getting criticized this week between Devin White and Levante David. And I was like, Tony, I don't know what I'm saying. Yeah. But anyway, he did kind of call out some of the Bucs. He does that with every team, yes, but he did it line. And he was like, have you ever seen a goal line package where a team runs the football and you have 2 safeties playing all the way up high? Yeah. That just shows you right there how much they did not respect the Bucs run at all. They had so much confidence in it. And then for them to then later in that game with the Bucs averaging 2.6 yards a pop or whatever it was, to sell out for it in that situation. I mean, do you really think, even with this coaching staff, this coaching malpractice that we've seen, did you really think Tom Brady? Did you really think Tom Brady was not getting the ball? It was not going to play a factor in that play. Did you really think that?
I mean, you got 3 downs. You can throw the ball 3 times. You can only run it once. I mean, it would have been the dumbest call in the history, which is maybe why the Rams expect. Like there's so much going on there, but how you if that's your man. if you're guarding, what do you need on run support in that situation? Do your job. I mean, if you're the Rams today, you're like, how the hell do you let him get outside?
Just to me,
of you?
it sums up the entire game. Honestly, oh God,
Thank you. Yeah.
Jeez. It just sums up the entire game. Honestly, like the defending Super Bowl champions, the Super Bowl champion the year prior, and this is what they are.
Yeah.
And it's just bad football.
Bad football.
It was a sad game.
Oh.
Well, we had 13 punts. At one point, we had 7 straight 3-and-outs, I think.
They punted 9 times. This was the Rams plays 3, 6. Then they got the touchdown. Then they went 3-and-out, 3-and-out, 3-and-out. An 11-play drive on. They got a field goal on coming out of the half. Our great adjustments. 3-and-out, 6-and-out, 3-and-out, 3-and-out, 3-and-out in the fourth quarter. They had 4 out of their last 5 possessions were punts in 3-and-outs. The other one was a 6-and-out. It went for only 31 yards. I mean, you could say great defense, and I thought the defense played really well. Let's give them credit, but that's so much bad offense. I mean, it was drop balls, terrible play calling, very limited.
We don't give
Sean
much.
McVay doesn't look like a great play caller when he has no offensive line. Isn't that interesting?
That offensive line has to be one of the worst I've ever seen.
Terrible.
I mean,
They're
terrible.
terrible.
I mean, but yeah, I mean,
the Buccaneers possessions, they went 3 straight 3-and-outs. They had the 12-play drive to start things, and then 3-and-out, 3-and-out, 3-and-out. 2 of those, I believe, they had holding penalties on. Then they had a 10-play drive and a 9-play drive at the end where they were going a little bit more up-tempo. By the way, the blocked field goal, did you see that?
Yeah, he just jumped right up. I don't know what the 3 offensive linemen for the Bucs, I don't know what we're doing there.
You know what? Did you see 97 for the Rams? 97 pushed the head of the center down. The center is supposed to hike it and pick his head up so they can't come over the top.
Yeah.
And you're not supposed to touch the center, by the way.
Yeah.
And the defensive player, 97, pushed his head down so Wagner could jump over him. And the officials completely whiffed on it. It was as plain as day. Go look at it.
I haven't seen the replay.
They pushed the center's head down and jump over him. That's a foul. You can't do that.
I know. I was like, that's like the easiest blocked field goal I've ever seen.
There's somebody watching that. It's supposed to be somebody watching that. And that's what they did.
I don't know. But the fact,
you
talk about all the punting and all the missed possessions. Jay Camardo might have been the player of the game.
Oh, he was. He got the game ball.
Did you see what Greg Auman tweeted, by the way?
Yeah, I retweeted it.
I think
it was the highest punting average in NFL history.
59.5 yard average. That's the highest ever in an NFL game with at least 6 punts.
Yeah.
Holy hell.
Yeah. And it was unbelievable performance. And he should have had a better net because how does Bowles not challenge that punt at the end? You got 2 challenges, and I know it wasn't definitive, but in that situation,
it looked pretty definitive.
I didn't see the TV.
The rule. They brought on the rules expert, and he said that he absolutely would have challenged it because he thinks the Bucs would have won it.
And that's a huge call right there because then they're on the 3-yard line instead
you get
of the
safety.
20.
You don't know. I mean, points are hard to come by.
Plus, with that limited offense they have already, you're already limited and a terrible offensive line. The chances are you force a turnover there, and then even if you force the 3-and-out, which you're probably going to get, they're backed up to punt, on the end line. So they got to do quick punt, which means you're going to get the ball back at probably the 35-yard line.
Yeah.
You're on their 35-yard line. So, I mean, there's so many advantages.
I will say hindsight's 20/20, but let's say it doesn't work out. You lose the timeout, and because the Bucs had to burn a timeout later in the game with like the 2 minutes left on that drive, you wouldn't have had your timeouts, and you probably don't win the game. So hindsight's 20/20. If you lose the timeout there, we can talk about that. But in general, I think Todd Bowles' in-game management has left a lot to be desired this year.
Very, very.
It's like he's not even like I tweeted. I'm like, are you awake? Like, what's going on here? Like, everybody in the building is seeing the replays. They're showing it. It looks like it's obviously there. How do you not challenge that? I mean, has he thrown a challenge flag this year? Does he have one on him? I don't know.
I don't know if he has. I'm trying to think about it. And
to me, it's just what
was interesting is they put it up on the big screen.
Yes, I heard the crowd reaction when they came back from break was like, what are we doing?
Yeah. And I know they got somebody in the booth looking at it. We never got a down the line shot, which I was, like a 425 game. Yeah. I know they have a down the line camera. So even CBS, I don't think showed a down the line shot, down the goal line shot. But there was enough there to
certainly challenge it. Regardless of what happened in the game at that moment, how do you not? I don't understand. It just, to me, coaching staff very scared. I mean, even I'll go back to even the first drive, take the points. I get it. I could have made the argument there, like, come on, you're having so much trouble scoring touchdowns. You never
after
know.
the horrible run play?
Yes. I mean, first of all, you got down there because of the pass. And then when you get down there, you decide to run. And this is a good point that I'm going to bring up here too, because this is the reason why the drives are so bad. And this was Warren Sharp. Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
He brings all these NFL stats.
Yeah, big time gambler.
This right here, and I'm going to read his tweet verbatim because this shows everything. This was going into the game. The Bucs have been forced going into the game 53rd and longs, and they've only converted 5 of them for first down. That's the worst for any NFL team since 2000. Okay. So with that being said, and these numbers, but of course we've already learned from our boy Byron, he doesn't look at numbers. Those things don't matter. You just wouldn't understand.
Right.
But with that being said, he comes out there. Not only does he run on 10 of the first 11 drives, but on most of those, he follows it up with a run on second down. So even on the small occasions where they would get maybe like 4 or 5 yards on those first down runs, he would follow it up again and they'd get -1 or a yard or nothing. And guess what you're doing? 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. That to me, it's like, why are you just you're shooting yourself in the foot on first down and second down for the worst third down team I've seen right now in the league.
And one of the other things that is without question going on is every team knows when it's a run. Whether it's Brady's foot positioning, and people have mentioned this in the shotgun, his right foot, it means a draw or a screen.
Oh, goodness.
If left foot forward means he's passing. And you saw it was 52 jump that screen route.
They throw how many? Can we get rid of the screen? Do
No,
the screens ever work?
That's the run game.
But they don't work.
No, they don't run. They don't work because teams know they're coming, and teams also. You saw the Bucs defense reacting to the Rams screen game. Like, that's all you got. It's one of the few things that Brady has. So everybody is reacting to that. And by the way, where is the pump the screen, tight end up the middle, or somebody like
it's non-existent?
Because to every play there is an equal and opposite reaction that you can go to when defenses are coming up and playing these. So which means what? That means down the field is open.
Mm-hmm.
Pump it, go down the field, make them pay for jumping these routes. And they're not. The offense is so predictable. There are so many tells in terms of formation. And there are teams, especially on a bye week, when one of the things you do is go back and you self-scout. You say, how many times are we running it on first down? How many times are we doing this? How many times are we doing that? And then you fix that. You stop doing the same tendencies. That certainly was not the case in this game. They keep doing the same things from the same formations every single time. In fact, there was some sideline audio from the Ravens game. Did you see this?
Yes, I did.
Where they had the sideline audio from the Radians, the defensive players going, they're running the same things. They're shocked. They're running the same thing we saw on film. They're not doing anything different. Same formation, same plays, same everything. Yes,
it's every game. Every game, and it's
you don't do this
in
the NFL, folks. That's high school football, man. That's high school football. You got to change your tendencies.
Okay.
You got to do different plays out of the same formations. We don't do that. We come out in the 2 tight ends. You know what's coming? Leonard Fournette up the middle. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows.
Oh, and by the way,
and let's bring in an extra blocker. You know what you do with that? We're gonna run.
Let's point this out there. We've been asking for more Rachaad White, and before I even saw Rachaad White in the game, I saw Keyshawn Vaughn in the game.
Which, by the way, nice run, broke a tackle.
Okay, cool.
By the way, I heard Romo say this as well. The Bucs have the least amount of broken tackles by running backs in the NFL by far.
I'm so shocked.
14 on that's
so
unbelievable.
Shocked. It's like they tried.
And then Leonard Fournette got into it with Rachaad White because Leonard Fournette was pissed that he was out of the game.
Yeah,
what are we doing?
Here's the thing. Who's the veteran and who's the rookie?
Right.
Because Rachaad White went over to him and said, hey, we need you. We need you. Don't do this. I mean, that's the rookie telling the 6-year, 7-year veteran who's already had a blow up in here in 2020 where he almost got cut.
Right.
Okay. I saw the same body language of Leonard Fournette in the Chiefs game when he sat for like a drive or two and he just kind of was moping there on the sideline with his helmet. I don't need that stuff right now.
No.
Okay. Because you're getting paid. Again, $21 million over the next 3 years. I didn't think the contract was warranted. You're playing like crap. You had a few moments yesterday, maybe in the passing game, where you kind of made some plays. I'll give you that. But again, to a point, you can't run the football.
This is the problem. This is the problem on this accountability. And Romo said it. He said, this is a production business. And this is where this coaching staff falls short. They don't have the onions to tell Leonard Fournette to sit down. They don't. Because everybody's trying to protect everybody's everything. This is what I see. And this is why this team is dysfunctional. We're going to protect the offense coordinator. We're going to protect the running back. We're going to protect Devin White. We're not going to say anything publicly. And when you're doing this, you're sending a message that you just keep doing what you're doing. You'll be fine. Yeah. Nobody's going to get fired. No tough decisions are going to be made here. Can't win that way. Everybody wants to be liked, and everybody not in this business. You ain't getting it done. You're not breaking tackles. You're not breaking runs. I'm sorry. We got to go to the next guy. Yeah. You got talent. I'm sorry. Keyshawn Vaughn. He broke one tackle. When's the last time we see Fournette ran
That's
over
fair.
a couple people? I love Lenny, but he has a role, and his role needs to be greatly diminished. Once again yesterday, he got I think 62% of the snaps.
It's way too much. No. It's way too much. But again, it's the mismanagement of elite weapons again. And I'll point it to you like this: they come out of the first half, you get the ball. Let's get some momentum going here, right? Run Fournette. A designed pass to Keith.
Keith was one of the worst
in the
possessions.
flat.
Yeah.
Are you freaking kidding me?
Who stumbles and bumbles and can't catch the ball.
Are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah.
I saw design passes for Brashad Perriman.
Yeah. Who couldn't line up. 17 snaps or whatever it was in the game and didn't know where to line up.
Did they call? I have to go back and watch this. Did they call a slip screen to Julio Jones?
I think they did.
Did I see that with my two eyes yesterday?
No. Well, that whole so the run to Fournette.
Which he had no idea what he's doing.
2 tight end run to Fournette. Everybody knew it was coming. Stuffed for loss of 1. Keith in the flat. I mean, are you kidding me? Keith. I mean, I love it. He's a try-hard guy, but are you kidding? That's your call? Come on. Keith in the flat? Really?
It's laughable.
It's laughable. And then the next one was a shot or a deep out to Julio Jones, who's double covered,
who slips,
falls down,
and he looks like he tore his ACL almost on the play.
He's hurt. I was like, that's your offensive series right there. That was it. That was indicative of the whole season right there. It's awful.
It's just it was across the board. And Mike Evans, again, I don't know what has gotten into Mike Evans. He can't catch the football. I think he got popped in his ribs on that first play, and he played through the game, which is commendable. Okay, I get that, but I saw a lot of drops from Mike Evans, and this is before that. Yeah. He's done this the last 2 or 3 games here.
Saw some tough catches though. He gritted it out and made some big plays.
He did, but you're paying. If you're calling me his elite receiver, you're telling me he's elite receiver rather. He's got to make some of these plays. Yeah. He's not doing it. Chris Godwin again. I thought if 7 catches could look as ineffective as it could.
7 catches for 32 yards.
I mean, just completely ineffective. I think he had a drop in there as well.
He did, and he's just not the same.
He's not the same. It's hard to watch.
We said that early on. There's no reason that guy should have played in the Dallas game. No reason whatsoever. He never should have played in that game, and that's when he got his knee. I don't think it's the same injury, obviously not, but he got injured. No, it was hamstring, right?
It was the hamstring.
Yeah, which is going to bother you all year long. He's got no separation at the top of his routes.
No.
And we're running plays to him. He can't break a tackle. He used to run through 5 guys per attempt, and those screens were great ideas. They're not right now. He's just not the same guy. This is not this Chris Godwin in my opinion.
So stop calling the plays to him.
Exactly.
That's the point here. Like, I just don't understand it.
But again, this is the whole problem with this team right now is they can't make hard choices. Mike's my guy. Chris is my guy. Leonard's my guy. Bottom line is, K-Dotton's better right now. He's a better option. Rashad White's a better option. Keyshawn Vaughn, is a better option. He's more explosive than Leonard Fournette. Scotty Miller.
Okay.
What did we say last week? You got to trust these other guys, Tom.
And Brady did that on the last drive.
He did.
And credit to him.
Because you know why? Because they were doubling Evans and Godwin.
And credit to him because on that drive before the touchdown drive, he has Scotty in the back of the end zone, and it reams right off his face mask. And I'm like, you have got to be shitting me. Yeah. You can't. I mean, at that point, I was done with Scotty Miller. Ugh. But then they come out the next drive, and again, I don't want to undersell that drive, by the way. I know we're saying the Rams but again, listen.
Take what they give
44 seconds left. No timeout, 60 yards. That was I had goosebumps watching that. Yeah. I was telling Casey, she was actually watching, and I said, can you understand, do you understand how crazy this is? Yeah. I understand they were giving it to him a little bit, but you still got to make the throws.
You got to make the throws.
And he wasn't
the reads.
And Mike Evans made one catch or the pass interference rather, but he wasn't throwing to Mike or Chris. He was throwing to K. Dotton. He was throwing to Scotty Miller, and had the confidence to go back to those guys after they had drops in the game, especially Scotty Miller the drive prior.
Which is something he hasn't been doing.
Which he hasn't
He's
done
been
this year.
forcing the ball to Godwin and Evans.
Yes.
And he's not taking the open reads, which we talked about last week with Kurt Warner. Is Brady broken? Went through all the reads, the same things we've been talking about for weeks and weeks. He's missing basic reads. He's, and there's a stat now that he's going to break the record of most consecutive passes without interceptions. And I can show you 8 balls in the last 3 weeks. There were 2 in this game, 1 to Ramsey, 1 to Lewis, number 52.
Oh, that screen,
He threw it right into their hands.
Nobody can catch it.
Can't
and this is every game, by the way.
Every game. Some of the worst throws of his career. And he's going to break this. And I said that is the most meaningless record in the world. If you're watching these games, it is the most meaningless record in the world. Because part of the his problem is he's been forcing the ball. And for some reason, I think guys see the ball coming right to him, and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to get a Brady interception. I'm going to get a Brady."
Literally,
they've already got the plaque on their wall. The ball's already put up on their mantle, and then they just drop.
Oh, they get the Carlton Davis syndrome.
Yeah,
that's what it
exactly.
is.
It's just it's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm looking at his numbers here. I think Brady leads the league in passing yards. He leads the league in passing attempts. He only has 1 interception, and we're sitting here, and the Bucs are 4-5, and we're questioning if he's starting to decline or anything. I don't know, but he only has 10 touchdown passes. He's 10 touchdown passes in 9 games.
Yeah, he had that through 3 games last year.
I mean, it's insane. The Bucs just can't score touchdowns, regardless of what it is. They're allergic to the end zone. They are. But again, you win 1 game, and all of a sudden it feels like you're not going to lose another one in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at the division today, you're back in first place. It's like it's back on. And all of a sudden, I'm seeing reports over the weekend that Odell Beckham Jr. the Bucs reached out. And all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, cool, go after it. Because I'm looking at this receiving core, and it looks like a shell of itself.
We're going to get to Will Turner here from 247 Sports, covers USF. But last thing on that, there is chatter. There's chatter out there about Gronk coming back.
Yep.
And from my sources, pretty good sources, that he's mulling it over. He said, I think he said yesterday on NFL Sunday that all my ex-girlfriends are calling me.
Yeah.
So, and Brady, Brady definitely had a different lilt to him this week. There's no question about it. I heard that from inside the organization as well, that Brady has been way more mentally engaged in the last week and a half.
Oh yeah.
So there's definitely a difference in Brady's attentiveness. And this is not to blame it all on him. What he went through we all get it. And it's not just his fault. That's not what we're saying. But this was definitely a more dialed-in Brady this game. I saw way better. He trusted the other people, which he has to do, and they won a game. And he was better. And he would have been much better had they held on to the football. So,
why don't we should honestly play the beginning of his press conference, because this was my moment where I'm like, yeah, Brady's back.
Okay.
This was the Brady back.
When
right
he
here.
stepped up, this was good. This was really good.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
Oh, they bleeped it out.
No, I got my version of it.
They bleeped it out.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. They didn't bleep it out last night when I listened to it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he said this is fucking awesome. And he had a different confidence to him. I told you that earlier in the week on Thursday. Yeah. It was a different vibe, and it was palpable, and you could see it in his play.
And by the way, too, I'll give you the did you see the embrace after the game with Byron Leftwich too?
Yeah.
The hug. I mean, that wasn't even a hug, actually. That was an embrace.
Oh, he just saved his job.
I thought Byron said, "Thank you for saving my job, Tom. Thank you." But, I mean, you could just tell, though, how much it meant to them to get that win. I mean, you can't be overstated. And you mentioned Gronk coming back. To me, that hinges on you winning against Seattle. That gets you back to 5-5. You keep yourself in first place. You have some momentum now. You got the bye week. If you go out there and lose to Seattle, I don't know if that changes things.
Which,
but
by the way, and we'll talk about it as we move forward.
Yeah, this is a task.
At this point right now, I ain't picking the Bucs.
Hey, we picked the Bucs to beat the Rams. I thought I was a clown about 59 minutes through the game.
I did,
but
I did.
We did.
We picked them to win, but hesitantly.
It didn't go the way we thought it was going to go. But
yeah. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to get back to the Bucs, and we got to talk more college football. We got to get to the FSU game. We got to get to the USF situation, which we're going to do right now with Will Turner, who I believe is heading over to USF right now to see what's going on over there. So we'll check in with Will Turner on the USF job, which we are reporting this morning that Jon Gruden is very interested in. Got that from 2 sources this morning, and it would definitely take the job if offered at this point, depending on what the terms are. But he's very, very interested in that job. We'll be back in 3. Stay with us.
Serena Fazan here for the Gold and Diamond Source. Are you looking for the hottest trends in men's jewelry? Ladies love to see men spice it up with something cool from the Gold and Diamond Source. Whether you're looking for a gold chain, fashion rings, even a pre-owned Rolex watch, or thinking about getting engaged, there's only one place to go. Go see my friends, Julie and Steve Weintraub at the Gold and Diamond Source for your one-stop jewelry supercenter. It's never been more important to shop local and support the businesses that support our amazing Tampa Bay community. None better than the great folks at the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road, or online at goldendiamond.com.
Attention, if you are home shopping or looking for a refinance, and even if you already have the approval letter, you must call my man Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Scott has a brand new program available in the greater Tampa Bay area called the Community Advantage Loan Program. Get this, no money down, no mortgage insurance, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance, and loan amounts up to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. It must be a single-family home, one unit, primary residence, and have a minimum 640 credit score. The program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Now, even if you don't qualify for that program, Scott will shop your loan around, get you the best rates, and won't charge you the huge upfront fees. And if you've had issues with your bank calling you back, Scott will return calls immediately, or at least the same day. 813-294-7595 or email him, scott@amstampa.com. Scott Fitzgerald, MLS 386722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida.
Guys, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Are you experiencing low sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, and you just don't feel like you have the vitality you once had? You're not tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Let's rock. This is Fan Stream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Here in our second hour, Chris Lugo and his great medical team over there will take great care of you. We had him on last week to talk about testosterone replacement therapy, and man, his knowledge on that and nutrition is off the freaking charts, and he can help you as he helps our top pilots and working with the military. He himself is military, part of the National Guard. They are just way different over there at Bay Area Modern Medical Center. The latest techniques, the latest information, the latest studies, he brings all of those to bear to help you lose weight, be healthy, get your immune system up, all those things. So if you're looking for a new primary care who's a little bit more forward thinking than maybe your old ass doctor, this is the way to go, folks, and get healthy again in the modern way. Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you. Get yourself a new primary care or get healthy or just get feeling better. All right. USF has fired Jeff Scott after an abysmal tenure for him. Love Jeff, great dude, but just could not get it done. And now they are out of the market looking for a new head coach. We bring in Will Turner from Bulls247. Been covering this program for a very long time, has all the inside scoop. What's up, Will? How are you, my friend?
Hey, JP, it's been a wild, what are we, maybe 12 hours, 16 hours into this search, man.
Yes.
It's been, really since Saturday night. It's been crazy kind of following all this as any coaching search is, but good, man. It's that time.
Well, we are reporting this morning. I talked to two USF boosters this morning who are also close to Jon Gruden. Both of them told me that he is very interested in the job and would probably jump at the opportunity if offered the job. We're a long way from that, obviously. But what is your reaction to that?
Yeah, so we had over at Bulls247.com on our VIP hot board, Jon Gruden was our number one. And Jon Gruden was our number one for a reason. And as you reported today, there's legit smoke and fire with Jon Gruden possibly to USF. That is a situation that, obviously Jon has been around the university quite a bit, still lives in Tampa. Got to remember when he was working with ESPN, he, has some ties to some of the high schools around here as he coached high school quarterbacks around the area and train them up. And Jon's been spotted Jon's been, sitting courtside at USF men's basketball games. I wouldn't be surprised if he's there this evening as they open up the season against Southeast Missouri State.
Interesting.
So he's been spotted courtside. He's, at USF games. He still lives in the area, obviously. And I think this would be a position that, he's very, as you reported, and as I said on our board last night, that, could be an interesting fit for USF.
Well, I don't know about your message board, but since I put that story out there this morning, there's been some positive, yes, but I would say 70% of it is very negative. People calling him a racist, people calling him a lot of different things. And obviously from those emails that we saw, there's a lot to back that up. You can, go wherever you want with that. But what has been the reaction on your message boards and the fan base that you see?
I'd say ours has been about more 50-50.
Yeah.
We have some older folks on our message board, so that aren't necessarily on Twitter, and they, are a little bit more leaning towards wanting a guy that has a proven track record of winning in the NFL, that has a Super Bowl ring, that has good ties to the Bay Area, like Jon does, and they're willing to look past some of the baggage that he's had in his career, especially recently. To try and get USF a guy that has won at the highest level, and that's something that I think, the folks high up at USF are going to have to look at, right? Yeah. Is this going to be worth bringing a name of this caliber, which would draw national attention to USF? I think we'd be in agreement on that. It would be shocking.
Be a lot of attention.
World.
No doubt about it. There would be a lot of attention, a lot of negative attention, but a lot of positive.
So is that worth bringing him on amid some of the other things that have happened extremely recently? And that's a decision that USF, Vice President of Athletics Michael Kelly, President Rhea Law, are going to have to make.
Let me share some of the comments that I have. It's about recruiting. We need better players. 1 or 2 star players aren't going to take this program very far. Gruden isn't the answer. I think we need a big name, but with less baggage. There's another one here, and some of them are very strong. I agree. Someone said, this is the last thing we need. I agree. I'll abandon this team entirely if they hire Gruden. If this happens, I'm never going to a football game again here ever again. I mean, it's not like it's polarizing. And then we got, other people that have lived in the area for a long time. A good friend, Lou Maggio, says Gruden is perfect for this job. Gruden is a true teacher of the game. And isn't that what coaching is all about? He's financially secure, so not in it for the money, has the support of the community, something the AD and administration lost long ago, and knows how to win. So, this is a polarizing topic.
Yep.
Let me just ask you, with the new administration and Rhea Law, the new president, Michael Kelly, you know them a little bit. I know Michael pretty well. Do you think that they would even entertain bringing Gruden on, given the emails that are out there?
I do think that they would entertain the situation or entertain Jon Gruden and the possibility of him becoming the next head football coach, because there are going to be donors that are really going to want this move to happen. there are going to be, folks that will push, and that will present checks to Michael Kelly and say, here, we will front the bill if you bring this guy on. And, it's unknown at this time if there is, for Gruden specifically. But, this is a world where in college football right now, money talks. And if you can bring a guy like that on, if you can afford a guy like that, Michael Kelly's going to have to take a good long look at it. And I think they will. I think think there's a world where, they take a look at this and they had a situation where they brought an up and coming coordinator on and Jeff Scott, so maybe they go a completely different direction. And this is a program you have to consider too, that is putting up their indoor practice facility, in the final stages of that being built. But they're also trying to build an on-campus stadium.
Right.
And they're also, trying to have that up by 2026. You need a guy that is going to put attention on your program. And Jon Gruden's going to be that guy that puts attention on your program. Now, are people going to be a little bit more maybe frugal with their wallets because it's a polarizing individual? Possibly. And that, again, that's something that you have to weigh.
Yep.
But, I think from, in my opinion, I think that this would be, if Jon Gruden were to be hired, it would be a situation where you could get national attention on your program and possibly, if it works out, put yourself in national relevancy again very quickly.
Will Turner joining us here from Bulls247. Some of the other candidates, Jim Leavitt has mentioned it as well, has been mentioned. He kind of put something out cryptically on his Twitter about what a beautiful place Tampa Bay is. Obviously, he was the architect and the founder of this program, brought it to number 2 in the nation. And since he's left, it's floundered. Let's just be honest about that. What do you think the chances of Leavitt coming back are?
Very low. When I talked to sources last night around the team, everything was very, the chances of Jim Leavitt possibly being hired were very minuscule. It was very close, it was very closed-minded towards him. I don't think that's going to happen. I know he's, it's been a few years since he was over at SMU with Sonny Dykes. I believe he was on that staff last year before Sonny went over to TCU. So, Jim's been back in the area. He's got his kids that, they're going out to Lightning games and Bucs games, and they're, enjoying the community, enjoying the town. And, he is, he's another polarizing individual, right? Based on, how that all went down back in the late 2000s and how they transitioned from Leavitt to Skip Holtz. And, that again, that's a situation. Does USF decide to go on that amid, the weight that a name Jim Leavitt would bring?
Yeah.
That I think is a lot more doubtful. I don't think that they're going to go in that direction. Again, like I said, when I talked to my sources yesterday, it was the chances of him were very low, and folks were very, the folks that I talked to were very close-minded of a reunion there.
Interesting.
Another name that I've brought up and a lot of people have really been bringing up is Scott Frost. And we saw what he did at UCF, taking over an 0-12 program that was at its lowest probably and winning the AAC, proven there. And, he's got the big buyout with Nebraska, but this could be a chance kind of to come at a program where he could kind of rebuild again and maybe get his name back out there. But that's also, the flip side of that is, do you want to commit to somebody who could only be here for, 2-3 years, or if this really goes well? I mean, they've kind of tried everything, right? With Charlie Strong, kind of the retread, and Jeff Scott, obviously the young up and coming offensive coordinator. That didn't work out. What do you think is probably the most important thing they're looking for in a candidate here this time around? Because they have to get this one right, obviously.
Yeah, this is, we said it last time that, when they hired Jeff Scott, it was the most critical hire in program history. Well, this one turns into the most critical hire in program history, right? Because it didn't work out with Strong. Didn't work out with Scott. Now, so the issues that you have are compounded on top of each other. And so you have to get this right. I mean, this is a situation where, Dan Patrick reported just an hour ago, that San Diego State is possibly on their way to the Pac-12. That's another G5 school that's off the board. And you're coming into a situation where, and I've said this, is that USF has, if the roster stays wholly intact, which with the transfer portal and a new coach, who knows if it happens. You know, you are in a situation where you could dominate the American Athletic Conference as soon as next year. The new athletic, the new American with the 6 schools coming in. I think that you have one of the most talented rosters of these new schools that are coming in. You just need the right leader to be able to steer that ship in the right direction. So in my opinion, I think that this program is going to need someone. I like one of my top targets for this is an up and coming FCS coach, an FCS head coach that has been a proven winner at both stops that he's been a head coach at. And that's Willie Simmons, the head coach at Florida A&M. He's the guy that is a Tallahassee guy. He's from Florida. He's been one that has been very successful at Prairie View A&M before taking over at FAMU. He's put FAMU back on the map. They had their first FCS playoff appearance last year for the first time in 20 seasons. So he's one that I have very, very high on my board. He can recruit Florida very well. He's done that well, in his career. FAMU is kind of interesting in how they do things, as they'll sometimes take kids that are having trouble qualifying at the next level, and they usually will wait on them another month or two after signing day to bring them on. So they've had an interesting recruiting philosophy with some of their admissions and things like that. So he's been in a unique situation. He's won it. He's won at FAMU. He's put them back on the map in the FCS, realm. And he's a guy that I think could be a look. I think USF should take a long look at him. He's a minority head coach, so you get somebody that relates to the kids. And I think that could be a really good hire in itself is Willie Simmons at Florida A&M. But in total, I think that USF is they need somebody that has a winning track record, because, we looked at Jeff Scott. This was a guy that, had never coached a football game before, and we all wanted it to work out for Jeff Scott, myself included. He's a great man, and I wish him nothing but the best, as most of the people around USF do. But USF is going to need a guy that has won at the college football level, that has won, in Gruden's case, at the NFL level. Someone that knows how to win, will keep the kids accountable, and will put this program back in the right direction.
Very interesting. And Tom Allen's name has been bantied about, but he's, at Indiana, but he's not leaving Indiana for USF. If he gets fired, I think he would be a great choice. And Scott Frost, obviously he's out there, and that would be a very interesting situation. Obviously having been at UCF to go to USF, got kind of a Sonny Dykes thing working there. We'll see. How do you think this whole search is going to go down, timing wise? What are you thinking?
Yeah, so it's wild to me how it Michael Kelly had the strong to Scott vacancy filled in 9 days back in 2019.
He had somebody in mind,
I don't think it's going to be that quick. Michael Kelly has still has yet to address the media. I'm assuming that will come tomorrow, just because they usually have their normal press conferences on Tuesday. So I'm assuming we'll hear from him, and we'll hear from interim head coach Daniel DePrato as they get ready to go for SMU on Saturday. So I think that this is going to stretch out a couple of weeks. They obviously, as we said, they need to make the right decision. I mean, we're 12 hours into this, and we've been, and both of us are already saying that it could be one person's job if they want it. I don't think it's going to be that quick. I think that you get to the end of the season, Michael will take good looks at candidates throughout the final 3 weeks of the season, but I don't think a move will be made until the post UCF game on November 26th on that last Saturday of the college football regular season for USF. I think they're going to take their time with this. I think they're going to make make an informed decision, and we could be locked in this cycle for 3 to 4 weeks collectively. Just based on trying to finish out the season, focusing on the student athletes that they have on the roster right now, and trying to finish out this season.
And one last thing, Will, tell me about the transition team now. I know Shoop also got fired, and who's taken over, and what's left? Can Could we see a jump in performance? Could something happen here? Do you sense that there's, was there any anti-Jeff Scott stuff going on because of the Timmy McClain situation? We talked about this, that there was a time when, Timmy McClain was the guy, and we've kind of felt a little something at the end of the last season. And then you bring Jerry Bohannon in, which everybody believes that was the right thing to do, but it may have fractured this team. I mean, guys left. Timmy left. What do you see moving forward this year? And did that have anything to do with it?
The interesting piece about all this, right, is we're starting to see, some college football players begin to enter the portal. The NCAA has changed their transfer portal windows. I believe I still need to freshen myself up on the rules, but the players can't officially enter the portal until, I want to say it's December 5th. It's sometime in the first 2 weeks of December that players can officially enter the portal, but they've been announcing their intentions to enter the portal and are not playing with the team. We have yet to see that with USF, which, through the end of the Jeff Scott era, I'd be intrigued to see if some guys decide to announce their intentions, towards the end of towards the end of the season. In terms of the immediate future, special teams coordinator Daniel DePrado will be the interim head coach. He's a very high energy guy, a guy that has turned the special teams, probably done the best job with the special teams that he could have done. Brian Battie was a consensus All-America selection last year in the kick return game. So, he deserves a lot of credit for what he's done with that unit. And then Ernie Sims, the former, All-American at Florida State, former Detroit Lion, Arizona Cardinal. He will be the defensive coordinator as his rapid ascent up the coaching ranks continues. I mean, it's hard to believe that just a few years ago, he was a director of player personnel at Florida Atlantic with Lane Kiffin and on that staff. I mean, he's gotten a promotion seemingly every year. He's deserved it. The players love him.
They do.
The players respect him. He was in the running and was taken a good look at to be USF's defensive coordinator ahead of this season. So, he and DePrado schemed up a really great game plan after Glenn Spencer was fired towards the end of last season against UCF in the finale. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens. Travis Trickett will remain the offensive coordinator, and rightfully so, as the offense has not been the problem here in these first 9 games. They've only failed to score 20 points one time, and that was a game against Louisville when you had 3 or 4 of your starting wide receivers out. The offense has been much improved, whether that was under Bohannon or whether that was under Travis Marsh, after Bohannon got hurt. So Trickett will stay on as offensive coordinator. Sims will get promoted to interim DC. DePrado will be the head coach. And it'll be all hands on deck as they face a SMU team that scored 77 against Houston last Saturday night.
I saw that. Highest scoring game regulation in college football history. Yeah. Watch out, defense.
I went out with a couple of guys from our Temple site at Chicky and Pete's in South Philadelphia watching the World Series game after Saturday's game at Temple. And we're all sitting there because Temple played Houston the next week themselves. We're all sitting there at the bar freaking out. This game is like 77-63, and both teams that we cover are going to go play one of those teams next week.
Woo. Oh, my God. Well, if Ernie Sims can hold them to under 45, I guess they should give him the head coaching job, which I think, by the way, Ernie's going to be a head coach at some point in college football. So
agreed.
I don't know if
hey, the over 67.5, and I would take it.
Yeah, I think you're right on that one. Oh, my God. Totally forgot about that. All right, Will, great stuff. Tell everybody where they can get your content and how they can get on your message boards if they're USF fans. Always a great place to hang out in this coaching search.
Yeah, of course. So Bulls247.com is the latest, most accurate USF hot board right now up there on the website. We're running a 60% off annual sale right now. So if you sign up right now, you get Paramount Plus after your first year. It's a great deal. So you get 60% off annual right now. That'll take you through all of basketball season. That'll take you through all this coaching search, and it will take you through fall camp, spring football, all that good stuff. So 60% off annual right now. That'll get you all the content across the 24/7 Sports Network, not just USF. So if you got another team that you like, Florida State, Florida, Miami, wherever, if you sign up on Bulls247.com, you get 60% off annual. And that's where you get all the latest content. All the names on our hot board is there. You won't miss a thing in this coaching search as USF looks to, hire their sixth coach in program history. And then, of course, you can always follow me on Twitter at WTurner247.
Great stuff, Will. Appreciate your time, my man. We'll be in touch. Appreciate
Thanks
it.
as always,
Thanks.
JP and Nick. Appreciate you guys.
Got it. All right.
Real quick, before we move on, it just popped into my head another name that was out there. And I was like, if you really wanted to focus on getting your brand out there and you're fine with having the scandals and all that and all this stuff, throw Ed Orgeron's name in the mix.
Oh, God.
Imagine a finalist of Jon Gruden and Ed Orgeron for the job.
I don't think you want that. I don't.
Imagine that.
Yeah. No, thanks. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they go. This is already a fascinating coaching search. Already, the names that are being thrown around are crazy, and the landscape of college football is changing so rapidly. Like the coaches you hired 2 years ago may not be the coaches you should be hiring now, because for a lot of different reasons, with NIL, with expansion, you're thinking about getting this new stadium. Everything that goes into it. I mean, it's an interesting time. All right, we're going to take another quick break, our final break. We're probably going to go over today, guys, because we got so much stuff to get to. So stay with us. Quick break. We got our sponsors in there as well. We're brought to you by BAMMC.com, the Jeeves Law Group, Italiano Insurance. I want to thank them as well. AMS Mortgage Tampa. So many great sponsors. Merging INV. Back in a second.
Is the time to make sure your home insurance is in order. In the last year, many of us have made improvements to our homes. So call the folks at Italiano and discuss these upgrades to make sure you have enough coverage. According to a recent report, almost 64% of homeowners don't have enough insurance on their home, which is their most valuable asset. Also, a great time to make sure you have flood insurance. Even if your mortgage company does not require flood insurance, your home could still be at flood risk. Another big item as we enter hurricane season is making sure your pool enclosure is added to your policy and there will be no issue at claim time. That happens a lot. So call your friendly agent at Italiano Insurance to review your policies today. 813-877-7799 or ItalianoInsurance.com.
Hey guys, Serena Fazan here for the Gold and Diamond Source. Are you looking for the hottest trends in men's jewelry? Ladies love to see men spice it up with something cool from the Gold and Diamond Source. Whether you're looking for a gold chain, fashion rings, even a pre-owned Rolex watch, or thinking about getting engaged, there's only one place to go. Go see my friends, Julie and Steve Weintraub at the Gold and Diamond Source for your one-stop jewelry supercenter. It's never been more important to shop local and support the businesses that support our amazing Tampa Bay community. None better than the great folks at the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road, or online at goldendiamond.com.
Are you concerned your spouse might be cheating or want to locate a long-lost relative or love? Or a missing person and the police are not helping? An insurance adjuster who needs proof of injury. Hi, I'm Rachel D'Antonio from Tampa Bay's premier private investigation agency, Emerging Investigation. We have a proven track record of results. Local attorneys and insurance companies hire us to discover insurance fraud and crucial information in criminal cases. We can help in custody matters, and we devote a tremendous state-of-the-art technology and cutting-edge industry surveillance techniques to get you trusted results. Larger corporate agencies can be more expensive and do not offer the personal level of customer service and interaction that we pride ourselves on. We are a family-owned business. Our professional experience team includes my son, lead investigator Zach D'Antonio, a former collegiate athlete, and my daughter Emily, who leads our in-house investigations team. Don't take matters into your own hands by trying to install snooping programs on phones or GPS trackers. That can cause unneeded stress and give you inaccurate results. Go with the professionals at Emerging Investigations. We have proven results and tremendous testimonials from our satisfied customers. Call for a free consultation and we can discuss how we can help. Peace of mind is as valuable as bad news. Just go to our website, emerginginv.com, or call 813-291-FACT. That's emerginginv.com. We're Emerging Investigations. We get results in life's biggest matters.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by BAMMC.com, Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Chris Lugo and his team over there. Testosterone replacement therapy, nutrition, weight loss, immune system, all things that they will make a personal plan for you. Personalized medicine is what it's all about, BAMMC.com. And the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVESLawgroup.com. If you have any issues with your insurance company, auto or home, please give them a call, and they will let you know what's up. Free call. Tell them JP Peterson sent you. All right, we got to get to a bunch of other things, and this is kind of breaking news too. Florida State obviously hammered Miami this weekend, 45-3, the worst home loss ever, I believe, for Miami, the biggest win for FSU in Miami in program history, from the Jordan Travis to Pokey Wilson 56-yard touchdown to the Toafili. Trey Benson, this explosive FSU team just dominated UM in a way I've never seen before. And Sam McCall, their 5-star recruit, safety, defensive back, put on social media this morning that he was getting into the transfer portal, then deleted the post. Mike Norvell is currently at the podium right now, was asked about that and basically said, wasn't specific about it, but so we got to get some of these young players to understand what the process is all about, and it will take some time for him to play. But when these 5-star guys don't play right away, there's issues, right? They're looking for the transfer portal. It's a bad look. They've got some freshmen that weren't as highly rated that are playing and playing well. I'm not close enough to the situation. I could do some research today, but Sam's been back there as a return guy, but he hasn't gotten a lot of playing time.
I guess this is what it's like nowadays. The portal gives you an easy out, but you just came off a huge win over your rival, 45-3. I don't like the timing of it. I think it's a weird thing to do. Yeah, maybe like Azariah Thomas is the name, by the way. He was a lower rated recruit in this class who's playing a lot, and he played damn good against Miami. He got like a 90 PFF grade, I think. So I get it. You were the highest rated recruit once Travis Hunter left in this class, but hey, just relax a little bit. Jamie Robinson obviously came over from South Carolina, and he's been awesome. Of course, he's going to be playing. FSU has a lot of depth back there all of a sudden. That's not a bad thing. Your time's going to come. And by the way, you make your time, by the way. You make your time. It doesn't matter what your recruit, what your star was next to you or your number next to it. Seriously, I don't like the timing of it. I don't want it to overshadow what was a great night on Saturday, because that was an ass whooping in every sense of the word.
Well, and here's the thing, it's a primetime game on ABC, right? It's Florida State, Miami, even though they're not ranked, or now FSU is ranked, but it wasn't the cachet game, but you're still on primetime, and all your friends are, hey, you playing tonight? You're going to be out there. And I don't even know how many snaps he got during the game. I still have yet to watch the whole game. So I don't know how many snaps he got. If they're up 45-3, I hope he got a bunch of snaps. I don't know. And if he didn't get a bunch of snaps in a blowout game, that's probably why he's pissed off. And these are things that, coaches have to worry about now, because you got to keep guys happy. But, I don't think it's a great look if you're just, you're a freshman, man. And I know you got 5 stars by your name, but maybe you're not catching on to the defense. Coaches for some reason don't have as much confidence in you. It's a different game, man. It's not high school football anymore. And there are different responsibilities. So again, I don't know enough about it, but I'll tell you this, transferring early on like this, just because, you're not having a great freshman year, rarely works out.
No,
it rarely works out.
Enjoy you're building something. And if you're really that good, you're going to be the guy next year, probably on a team that's ascending.
Yeah. Well, and FSU, let's just be honest, that was a dominant performance in so many ways. Jordan Travis continues to sparkle.
Yep.
I thought he was tremendous. Just in every sense of the word.
The country got to know who Trey Benson was.
Yeah, Trey Benson can play.
How fitting, by the way, his former head coach was Mario Cristobal. And he did that, right. And he did that against Mario Cristobal's team. So almost a little bit of and I know he had injuries at Oregon, yes, but maybe passed over a little bit. That was a huge risk Mike Norvell took bringing him in there. I don't. It doesn't matter to me if Trayshawn Warren's back there or not. That guy's running back one.
Yeah.
Okay. I put it out there. I think he's the best running back FSU has had since Dalvin Cook. I'm including Cam Akers into that. I know Cam came at kind of the wrong time, maybe.
Yeah.
If he had this blocking, maybe a little bit different. But
yeah.
Trey Benson can run the damn football.
So FSU has Syracuse, Louisiana, and Florida left on the schedule. They'll be will they be favored against Syracuse? I think they will.
Well, Syracuse just dropped again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all of a sudden, I don't know. Maybe FSU won't trip up and they'll win out.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And the guys on the ACC huddle after the game said this FSU team may be the best team in the conference
and
right now.
I checked
Lovett coming back.
I checked some bowl projections, by the way.
Yeah. What do we got?
They're projected to play UCF in the Military Bowl.
Where's that?
The military? I have no idea, to be honest with you.
Ooh,
but
I would love
the fact that they're projected to play UCF.
The Gasparilla Bowl, we got to talk to those folks. The Outback Bowl, or I keep calling it the Rely.
It's always
Bowl.
good. You're always going to call
They can't go to that one, I don't think, because now all the tie-ins are different than they once were. But that would be, the Rely Quest Bowl would kill for that matchup. If UCF wins out and FSU wins out, that'd be a hell of a game.
Yeah,
wherever it is.
Military Bowl is ACC versus American.
Right.
So it's built in right there. It's in Annapolis.
Annapolis.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful place. But don't they always have don't they try to? Well, that would be an awesome game.
Yeah.
And Annapolis is like one of the most beautiful places in the world. Would love to go see a game there. Small stadium though, isn't it? Really small.
Isn't it? That's the Navy Stadium, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
probably not the biggest stadium, no.
Yeah. But anyway, huge win for FSU. Florida gets a big win at Texas A&M. I saw Anthony Richardson had a good game there. Saw a few of the highlights.
A little bit of a caveat on that one.
Yeah, how so?
I mean, there was a flu outbreak at Texas A&M.
Oh, that's right.
Weigman doesn't even play.
Yeah.
They had at least 20 guys almost who didn't play in this game, like starters, and then the backups to the starters who did not play in this game for A&M.
Oof.
And even Florida, the score was kind of close.
Flu outbreak.
Flu outbreak.
I thought the flu was over. I mean, that was.
No, it is still there.
So a real flu outbreak.
It is.
And cancel again. That's wow.
But nonetheless, Anthony Richardson played very well. So take that for what you will.
And the Lightning got a big win too on Saturday night. Nick Perbix gets the game winner, and he's been playing phenomenal hockey. Kucherov with 4 points. He's playing phenomenal hockey. And we got Connor McDavid coming in tomorrow. So we'll talk more about the Bolts tomorrow. We'll get into that, but a big win for them as well. What else did we not get to today? LSU with a huge win over Bama late. What a great play call that was. And going for two. How about Brian Kelly going for two in that situation and getting the win?
He's got stones.
He's got some stones. And by the way, at FSU, LSU win looks
and this
pretty
just
good
in,
too.
by the way. He can coach.
Yeah, he can coach.
For all of you that were clowning him because of some recruiting videos.
Yeah.
He can coach.
Yeah, that's true. He can coach it up. And by the way, their receiver, I forget his name.
Keyshawn Boutte.
Keyshawn Boutte, who was ready to enter the transfer portal after game one. Remember that? After the loss to FSU? He was ready to get in the portal, and now he's become a big part of what they're doing. So don't get butthurt, kids. Stay where you are and, take a little coaching, take a little criticism. It might turn out to be best for you. You never know. All right. Well, that was a full day. We got it.
We could have gone another hour here, honestly.
Yeah, we could have. We got so much sound that we didn't play from the Buccaneers. We'll play it tomorrow. We got a whole day tomorrow to get to it. So our thanks to Will Turner, who joined us, Dan Lucas as well. Our thanks to you guys as well. We'll be all over social media the rest of the day because there's a lot of things going on as the Bucs head to Seattle, which is going to be a very, or Munich to play Seattle. Be very, very tough test for them. We'll have updates all week long. Have a great week, everybody.